Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Need a phone.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Nick Barris here on a Monday. How was your weekend? I hope it was a good weekend. And you know what? I need a phone, and it's right there, but I'm going to bring it up here with me in a second. We need phones because we hope to take your phone calls this morning. We're here on this Monday, and we're going to be talking animals and pets with the lovely and talented veterinarian. She's a regular on the show. Has been for years. To know her is to love her. Her name is Allison Fields.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you, Allison. I'm good. It's good to see you.
It's good to be here.
Anything crazy going on?
I don't think so.
Not too much. I mean,
No.
This time of year, I always like to take phone calls from whatever you have about ticks and fleas and all this. We go into that all the time. Have you seen anything unusual? I'm trying to think of some of the stories that we've covered with relation to dogs, cats, or the like. Just the spaying and neutering, the puppies. Have you seen anything unusual coming in this time of year? I know that I have friends who have had dogs that they say are getting this contact dermatitis or allergies to whatever's going on out there.
Well, it's starting to be allergy season for everybody. Right.
And so what do you recommend for that? I mean, some people say, well, they'll give them human, like Benadryl.
Well, you need to talk to your vet about, is it really an allergy? Is it an infection? And then they can prescribe or tell you what meds are best to use for your animal.
Okay, so what are there sometimes, I think my vet at one point told us that we could use a Benadryl or something like that in a case where... You
can. You probably need to talk to your vet because Benadryl may not be suitable for everybody, but yes, it is one of the human drugs that we can use in animals.
There, now I have the telephone.
Good job.
There it is. Wanted to make sure the phone was up here with us. All right, well, so beyond that, and tick and flea, as you said from prior shows you've been on, if you haven't started already, it may be that well, it's not too late ever.
I don't think it's too late right now. It's not too late ever, but I think that right now is a great time to get started. The weather is, I doubt we're going to have any more freezing temps. We are getting to the point that it's starting to get a little warmer out. So if you haven't started your flea and tick control, if you don't do it year round, now is the time. Okay, yeah, if you have questions about some of the treatments out there, you can give us a call, 737-7587. The pill is what we're going to. Once we run through the topicals, but that you've convinced me, and my wife and I both say, yeah, that sounds great. And there's several different, I think there's 4 or 5 different brands out there now, all in the same drug class, just different not isotopes, that's radioactive stuff. Yeah. Isomers, something. Just very slightly different so that everybody can have their own brand.
Okay, but my wife was asking me this with the pill. There are some that have more than one, besides the flea and tick treatment in the pill that they take. Do they combine them with heartworm ever or anything like that?
So there are some products that combine flea control with heartworm prevention and intestinal parasite control. Nobody has yet been able to get flea, heartworm, intestinal parasite, and ticks in one pill. When that comes out, it'll be fabulous.
So what do you recommend?
So you need a heartworm prevention, and we're talking dogs here. You need a heartworm prevention. Most of the heartworm preventions that veterinarians recommend or prescribe now also have intestinal parasite control in it. Most of the time we forget to tell you that, which is why it's important not only to do heartworm prevention year-round for your heartworms, but also for intestinal parasites. So heartworms and intestinal parasites are usually one little pill, and then or chewable treat, and then we do a flea and tick in combination with that. So 2 chewable treats a month to get the coverage for all of that, which is 1, 2, not counting all of the different species of ticks. So there's 2 plus a whole, probably about 4 different species of ticks. So if you really want to count, there's 5. Heartworms are 6. Interceptor Plus and ones comparable to it get 4 intestinal parasites.
Okay, which
so you're looking at like 10 parasites that you're protecting with 2 chewable treats.
It's pretty good.
It's great. All right. And some of those intestinal parasites can be transmissible to humans, and the humans that usually get them are small children playing in the backyard, stick their hand in dog poop, go wipe their hands off on there and go inside and eat a sandwich. So it's important for human health to keep your dogs on a good intestinal parasite control as well.
I know you're not a medical doctor, but let's say you did that by accident and didn't realize and ate a sandwich. How would you know you had an intestinal parasite?
Most of the intestinal parasites in dogs do not become intestinal parasites in people. We are an aberrant host, so which is one of the reasons it's so important to protect your dogs so your children are protected. But the roundworms and hookworms are the two that are really big, and they actually go in weird places. They like eyeballs, and they can cause blindness. So
how would you know if you have one?
Don't you ever see? Well, your child usually has a problem with their eye, but
so an adult not as likely.
Well, adults typically don't stick their hands in dog poop. They wash their hands.
Right.
So adults, it's less rare. Although, what's that show, Monsters Inside Me or something? Yeah. There was one on there with somebody had a roundworm, I think, in their brain.
That's just great.
And it was a grown up. Yeah. So just keep your dogs on heartworm prevention, because most of our heartworm preventions prevent all of that as well.
Thanks for sharing that with me. First thing on a Monday morning. That's a cheery thought.
That's fun.
All right, let's go to something not as graphic, but still a little disturbing.
Okay.
One of our producers in the newsroom recently took her little beagle Sammy in to have surgery because he had a torn ligament in his, I forget what it was, but she said her veterinarian told her that they see these quite often sometimes in dogs. They run, and it has to be a surgical procedure. Is it a hamstring?
No, it's a cranial cruciate ligament.
I think that's it. So what the heck is that? What the heck is a cranial?
Well, we all have it. When you see football players that tore their ACL, same thing. Okay. In humans, it's called an ACL, anterior cruciate ligament. In dogs, it's called a cranial cruciate ligament. It's the same thing. It's just two different words to describe the front.
Okay. And how do they have to tear from an injury? I mean, that dog may have just jumped off something and landed awkwardly.
They typically just it's usually an acute injury, jumping off of something. Frisbee ball chasing dogs can plant a leg and twist, which is normally how it happens in football players and stuff like that. But yeah, we see it. It's probably the most common orthopedic injury that we see in dogs. I saw one on Saturday. Okay,
so that's what I was thinking. A surgery like that, I hear this, and a friend of mine too has some of those, and she said it was fantastic having, who was it, Rick, we were talking about that said they had pet insurance? I know Rick has, but I don't know. Did you use it recently? But
pet insurance is great. I mean, if you,
it was like $40 or $50 a month, and it
depends on the age of your dog. It depends on what coverage you want. There's coverage for everything, like annual vaccinations, heartworm prevention. That's obviously going to be more expensive. Then there's coverage for just illness and injury, which to me is the one that makes the most sense.
I think this one that she had was through a specific vet clinic or hospital, meaning that it wasn't one that you'd go to just anyone. It was one that was near her. But I would think most insurances maybe are out there also where you can get one.
That's probably not true.
That's not. So you would get a policy that would be good whether I brought my dog to you or someone else. My carrier would cover the cost as long as it fit their criteria.
It's not like human health care.
Okay.
It's also not like human health care in the fact that you don't walk in and pay a copay. You don't walk out without paying anything. It's like insurance back in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s where you pay the bill at the clinic. So if it's a $4,000 surgery, you pay $4,000. But then you submit that to your insurance company, and most of them are really good. Like you can scan it on your phone and send it in electronically. They reimburse you for whatever your coverage is.
Okay.
So it is
that's
just,
how it works.
Everybody needs to understand that. It is not you don't have to pay anything. You still have to pay your veterinarian because we don't file your insurance for you. There's none of that like in human health care.
Okay, that's left to you to do that. It's all you.
All you.
You pay it and then you get reimbursed is how it typically works.
We don't care what your insurance is, because we have nothing to do with it.
That's right. You just
love that you have it because it allows us to take better care of your animals if you don't have the financial means to do a knee surgery. But yeah, we have nothing to do with it.
Gotcha. Okay, let's take one quick call before we go to the break. Cindy, good morning. Hi, Cindy.
Morning, Dick.
Hey, what's on your mind, Cindy?
Okay, well, I got a couple of questions for her because I know she's a vet. Now, once I kept having this cat, a cat, and it kept coming here. Well, it started out as a kitten, and it would not leave. Okay, so I took it down, did the right thing, took it down to the, Humane Society, hoping it would get a home. I said, Jesus Christ, who's cat breeder around here, because they're dumping off all their kittens. Well, they won't tell you nothing. So they take the cat. I assign all the paperwork. I told them exactly the area and exactly where I live, because you got to show them your license. And I'll be danged if they did not, on probably less than a month, I guess they spayed it, because it was Carl, that's what they said. And it was a feral. It was from a feral cat that a woman has. Okay. And she keeps breeding them over and over and over. So then she just lets them go wild. Okay. So the cat showed back up. And here it is, tearing everything up again. And, you know, I'm scared because I know cats can give you ringworm. And this cat has no shots. It will not let a human touch it. Okay, it's crazy.
But you're saying the cat...
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that we can talk about in this. The Humane Society doesn't release cats anywhere. So if it is the same cat, which I highly doubt, somebody went in and adopted it and brought it back. 2, we don't breed feral cats. The definition of feral is that they're wild. So if somebody is feeding feral cats, that's a little bit different story than breeding cats and dropping them off. So if it is the same cat, somebody went and adopted it that happened to live in your neighborhood and it found its way back, I have a feeling it's probably a different cat that looks exactly like it. Cats don't give you ringworm. It's very rare. I've only gotten ringworm from a cat once in 20 years, and that was when I went on my honeymoon in Canada.
Oh, how romantic.
Right. Well, apparently most of the cats in Canada actually do carry ringworm, and a lot of Canadians are just immune to it because it's happening up there. But yeah, so not that common. So I don't know if the question is how do you get them to go away or what you can do, but there are programs in the area like feral fix-ins. There used to be one called Snip and Tip. There's a lot of different groups that you can trap feral cats. They will spay and neuter them, and then they snip the tip of their ear so that from a distance you know that that cat has been altered. And they typically use the live traps, the have-a-heart traps that are humane. They go in, the door snaps behind them. You take them in, you get them fixed, they snip their ear, and you can release them. And that way, if you happen to catch a cat that has a tipped ear, you know that it's already been altered. So that's one thing that you can do.
Yeah, I wonder, knowing Cindy, and she's called in before, she's got a soft spot for cats, and she was saying a feral cat keeps coming back. I'm just wondering if she was feeding it.
Right, that was
maybe she was.
I mean, if it showed up as a kitten and it never left until it was almost full grown, I have a feeling there was probably some food out.
Yeah, food still is somewhere, maybe not hers, but that's why they come back.
To not have cats come back is don't feed them.
Yeah.
However, that's hard for all of us because you're like, oh, it's so skinny, and so we all feed it, and that's okay. No judgment there.
Yeah.
But if it is a feral cat and you can't touch it, then the next thing is that you probably need to get it into one of the feral colony fixing situations.
Right, and they're out there. Listen, we'll take a break on that. When we come back, we'll take more calls. The lines are open, 737-7587. Veterinarian Allison Fields, more right after this. Stay with us.